Aloha, this is Aja Eyre with Maui Pono Network. I hope that our weekly update brought to you for this first week of September finds you healthy. We hope it finds you well, housed, and finding healing from the collective trauma that we felt here in our county, and especially for those who have been displaced through damages or fire or not working utilities. There's so many things that have happened in so many different places. And we also are thinking of those of you who are underemployed or unemployed because of the disasters. We hope that you're finding the help that you need. And if there's something that we can do at Maui Pono Network, please let us know. We're out there. You'll see us around the island working to help in whatever ways that we can. There were some great things that did happen this last week. For example, there was an event held last Sunday at the Ahimsa Sanctuary Farm, where hundreds of people attended to learn more about volunteering opportunities. There was also a powerful spiritual event led by Alika Atai to help people who have passed because of these disasters. There was a very beautiful kind of a eulogy almost by Robert Kennedy. And that video of Robert Kennedy is available on the website. So make sure you check that out at mauipononetwork.org. And then something else happened too. There was a doctor who came and talked about how trauma can become a life-altering disease if allowed to take hold. And it can have very long and lingering effects. And that just reminds all of us to find a way to access healing and wholeness in the aftermath of the trauma that you've had. So again, our thoughts are with you. These events seem to have been going really well. If you're able to attend an event like this one held at the Ahimsa Sanctuary Farm or other healing and wholeness events, we recommend it. And it's good to get with community. I think we can all attest to the fact that the community has really stepped up. And this is why we all love living in this county, is because you feel that love and that oneness that we all share. And there's nothing like a tight community to really help in the aftermath of these disasters. Some of the other things that are happening in kind of this relation to health and wholeness is there are community-led groups, citizen-led groups that are going, that you'll see at like meal distribution centers, or other gathering places, and they'll be taking samples to help you assess if you have toxins that you've ingested or inhaled that are showing up in your bloodstream. So that's something to watch for. There's also citizens groups leading like health and well-being workshops, and they'll have booths at different distribution sites. So if you have an opportunity to visit one of those, even if you're not the one seeking help, just give them a pat on the back. They're out there trying to help the community. Now let's talk a little bit about what's been going on in the governance in the county, because it's been really remarkable how the community, again, has really come forth, because there's been some crazy things that have happened. So I'm sure if you've seen any news, you've noticed that the governor's emergency proclamation has just been a top headline amidst the water grab headlines and the post-disaster headlines, of course. I wonder what it is about governors in Hawaii that they feel like they need to rule with their staff of emergency proclamations, because here we are again with something that is just short circuits the democratic process, and it disengages the community. It is the antithesis of civil engagement. And so this emergency proclamation is an attempt to cure or lessen the burden of the housing shortage in Hawaii. And it basically strips the requirements for building new developments and new houses of the protections that are put in place for cultural sites and archaeology and building code specifications, specific for Hawaii, or collective bargaining, so that unions don't get as involved in the building process on some of these larger projects. I mean, it kind of just strips all of these protections that we have. And the governor is basically saying, like, hey, I know exactly what the problem is here, children, let me fix it for you. and I'm going to emergency proclamate my way through this. And then the problem is it puts the power in just the hands of just a couple people. So understandably, people were upset when this emergency proclamation came out. But since the Lahaina fires, it has been absolute mayhem and anger when it comes to meetings where the government asks what everyone's opinions are about this, or how can we do this? And people are angry. Now, some examples of this is there was I think it was last Monday, there was a Build Beyond Barriers working group with the state, and people commented and sent in comments, even though they didn't have very much time to prepare them. There was kind of a short deadline on the comment, when you could submit comments. But you heard the anger and the concern. And even though this is not specific about Lahaina, remember this emergency proclamation came out before the fires, it has become about Lahaina, because Lahaina is almost like this microscope onto this, on how poorly this could go. There were some great comments. You see a lot of people who are always concerned on there, but there was another meeting from the Maui County Council. The housing committee met, and they had a resolution, and people came in and commented. And again, it became about this emergency proclamation. And there's Mr. Higa, who was very eloquent in these, and he mentioned that the county council should present a resolution completely distancing itself from this emergency proclamation. But then if you read some of the newspaper articles, they point out that they found that 4 of the members of the county council have actually expressed verbal agreement with the emergency proclamation. And you can probably guess who those are if you watch the county council at all. But this is dividing the kind of the pro-development legislators and government leaders from a lot of the rest of the community, who's saying this is not the answer to affordable housing. Just opening up the floodgates to whatever is not the answer. And you could get into the nuances here, like it's supposed to be 141% of AMI. The housing is supposed to be for only that group. Is that affordable housing? It's better than $10 million homes for every person, but it's still doesn't fit the need of where the affordable housing is, and all these different things. But the real question is do we want the governor or any official to be able to just say, forget the laws, forget the ordinances, I'm just doing an emergency proclamation, and they mean nothing when it comes to this? And that's where the concern is. That's where Maui Pono Network is concerned, because the democratic process is being short-circuited. And we're watching this with interest. We really recommend that you testify. It also helps to reach out personally to your county council member, talk with your friends and neighbors about it. It's good for us to stay informed. Now, about being informed, we find that the best place to find the most updated information for us is mauipononetwork.org on the website. The social media has been really flooded with Lahaina disaster assistance, which is great. But you're probably not going to find the stuff that you need if you're looking for more information on the governance. So just go directly to the Maui Pono Network website. Again, if you have things that you'd like us to discuss on these weekly updates, you can send us an email. Now, the last thing I want to bring up, and this is still an unfolding story, is Kieth Agaran, who is a longtime Maui elected leader. He is serving right now as the state senator for Wailuku, Kahului, Waihe'e, that side of the island. He has resigned. So hopefully you saw those news articles as well. Now, the story is that somehow he was supporting one of the attorneys that was, trying to get a class action or mass tort lawsuit for the fires, and was somehow involved in that, and it was a conflict of interest. Anyway, he's resigning. It's effective, I think, the end of October. This is a huge deal, because he has been an elected official for a long time. He's been in state leadership for a long time. He's important. He's well connected. And this is not the first time that this has happened, right? We've seen this happen a couple of times on Maui. Some of our elected officials have actually been forced to resign because of legal problems or conflicts of interest or ethics issues. And here we have someone resigning. So is this the full story? And that's why I'm saying it's still an unfolding story, because is it the full story? I have seen our county elected officials not resign over much more than this, if that makes sense. So, what's the full story? I think that will continue to unfold. But we also are going to need somebody to run in that spot. And who is the governor going to appoint to replace him? All these questions. So, I think a lot of us are focused on Kula and on Lahaina and helping our neighbors, helping our family and friends. I know that this is what I spend a lot of time doing, and this is what you spend a lot of time doing. We have to just be so careful that while we are trying to do that, that other things don't happen that have lasting impact in the long term. So keep an eye on that emergency proclamation, keep an eye on our state Senate spot, and keep an eye on the good things too. Those community wellness and wholeness events and helpers that are out there. Again, aloha. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. Maui Pono Network, we're always here trying to keep you informed, keep the democratic process open, making sure we stay civically engaged, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.